Speedy taxicabs. Well, not at this precise moment in time they're not. The text message says that Stuart, your driver, is en route to you. Click on the link to check his progress. Well, I don't think I need to click on a link to know he's not bloody here. I can see he's not bloody here. I wouldn't be bloody here if he was bloody here, because I'd be at bloody church by now. And now they've got me bloody swearing. On Christmas Eve of all days. And worse still, it's Sunday. And if Stuart thinks he's getting a tip, he's very much mistaken. The only tip he'll get from me is to go ask Father Christmas for a new watch. I don't know. Didn't take Mary and Joseph this long to get to Bethlehem. And the roads in Galilee 2,000 years ago were dreadful, apparently. Well, according to that programme on BBC4 about the Holy Land, last week, they were horrendous. And Dan Snow is always very accurate in his historical assessments, not one to exaggerate. I'm surprised anybody in Galilee got anywhere on time for an appointment. They probably have to set off the day before just to get to the dentist. If you don't turn up at my dentist on time, 3 strikes and you're out. I bet you'd know about it if you missed your appointment in Galilee. You'd probably be crucified. Or worse. Oh, let me see, what time is it? I know I'm early for church. 3 hours early to be precise. But this is the very reason. And to get a decent seat. Packed it'll be as it's Christmas Eve service. And as always is the case, it'll be full of people who arrive late and go home early. Dreadful. They've nowhere to sit or stand, so they adorn the place like it's a bus station. No respect. I've always needed an aisle seat, preferably on the second row, left-hand side, so I can get a very clear and uninterrupted view of the pulpit and the vicar. Always. And woe betide if anybody is sat in my place in my pew. 44 years I've sat there. Had to wait for old Mrs. Ormiston to die before I could sit there. It has a plaque on the seat of the pew dedicated to the memory of her husband. Mind you, you have to be careful as the nails holding it on stand a little bit too proud. I ruined a good overcoat on them. I told the last vicar, but he wasn't the slightest bit interested. I said to him, that pew is lethal. Any gyration of one's bottom on Mr. Ormiston's memory and you get a pull on your posterior. But I don't expect to have a problem getting to sit in my seat tonight. People know that I have Mrs. Ormiston's place. Even the once-a-yearers. People sometimes call me the new Mrs. Ormiston as a consequence. Not that I look in any way like her. Rather bland she was. Not much clue about style. Nothing ever matched. Brown, black and green, stripes and spots. The girls at church would say, "Here she comes, Mrs. Bon Marché, pick and mix." Funny woman. Could be very insulting. Once quite vocal in her disparagement at the M&S lingerie. Unthinkable. Yes. People know that Stella Blackford has always sat on Mrs. Ormiston's husband. I did think of asking the vicar if I could add my name to the plaque. Engraved underneath what was already there. Like they do with headstones. An appropriate acknowledgement of my service and standing within the parish, I thought. Deserved. But not even the name would fit. If she'd not included all that guff about loving husband, devoted father and conscientious justice of the peace, the church warden said I could have squeezed in at the bottom. But I said to him, I refuse to be underneath Mr. Ormiston. On top of him, well, now that's a wholly different matter. He said it would work if the lettering was smaller. I think not, I said to him. I said, I refuse to be memorialised in an inferior-sized font. And then, the cheek, he says, I think you would look very refined in a Times New Roman. And I replied, how dare you? How old do you think I am? I did ask if he could just take the plaque off, turn it over and engrave my name on the blank side, ensuring that he screwed me quite firmly on the pew. But the church warden, who clearly knows better than me, said it wasn't appropriate. As if Mr. and Mrs. Ormiston are going to complain. Nobody's bothered. She only had a daughter and she's a Baptist. Very accommodating, I find them. Baptists. Not sure why. Just a very agreeable congregation on the whole. Very smiley. I thought the vicar might have called around this week after I'd made it known at the WI that I'd been under the weather. But no, didn't even telephone. Shocking. Really. Not like the old days. Almost lived here, the last one. Or was that the one before? I forget now. They all merge into one when they all look the same. Black with a little bit of white. Like magpies, but not as annoying. Anyhow, there's no way the current vicar would call without telephoning first. And not on a day when I haven't polished the houseplants. He knows that that's a Monday task, and it's more than his life is worth for him to see me with a dusty aspidistra. Callers are received, expected or otherwise, Tuesday through until Thursday, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. People know my exacting expectations. It's a well-known fact in the advanced baking fraternity that Victoria Sponge will not keep past Thursday. And there's nothing worse than your seeping juices creating a soggy bottom. I had expected that Catherine, my goddaughter, would have called to arrange her annual visitation by now. But I do appreciate that she is very busy with her career. All over the world. High-power meetings, lectures, symposiums, whatever they are. Just posh conferences with a lot of fresh fruit, probably. She has her own website. Now that can't be cheap. She's on a good screw. And the cars she drives. I thought the Prime Minister was arriving last Christmas. Big, long black thing pulls up outside. Out she floats in a very smart business suit, Givenchy or Gucci or something else expensive beginning with G. Breezes in and drapes herself on the couch. Do tell me you have Earl Grey and a slice of your Victoria for me, Auntie Stella. That's what she calls me, Auntie Stella. Nobody else would dream of doing that, but I do allow her as she lives in the home counties. She offered to make me tea one time. Oh, dear Lord. You make tea? You don't infuse the tea bag. You either baptise it or you drown it, I said. She uses a teaspoon like a weapon of torture. I took one taste and said, never again. That is not a cup of tea, dear. It tastes more of fluoride than Earl Grey. She brought some green tea last time she came around. Green tea? I ask you, took one sip, pond water. Even a Garibaldi did nothing to help it. I'm amazed she's amounted to anything considering how she was as a child. Very reserved, never spoke. We never heard her mention a boyfriend, or any friends really. Not that we ever thought that she was, one of, well, you know what. I haven't a problem with that type of thing. But she does know a lot of women with short hair who don't eat meat, less said. Anyhow, they're tripping over themselves now to be with her, the jet set. Such a gang she goes skiing with every season to Courchevel or Courmayeur or something else dreadfully exclusive beginning with C. Always sends me a card and photographs of everywhere she travels to, how the other half live. She's thoughtful to a fault. She's worked hard and she deserves it. And the jewellery, goodness me, dripping off her like Midas or Croesus or some other rich foreigner. But proper relationships? Oh, I don't know. She hasn't had what I would call a proper friend since infant school. And that was a doll. I said to her last Christmas, I said, do you remember? You would never come out of the Wendy house unless everyone had left the nursery first. It was like hostage training for toddlers. It took her mother ages to convince the teacher that there was nothing to worry about. But she blossomed as she got older, and eventually she became attractive. Such an ugly child until she was 12. I think it was helped by her head growing to accommodate her front teeth. Apparently very intelligent people are like that. Physically awkward when younger. Look at Princess Anne. But such a loner then. Dreadful. Her mother tried. Got her in the brownies. A fortnight she lasted. A fortnight! She said she didn't like wearing a uniform. Her mother said on the second weekend that she'd let her go camping. She stripped naked and peed on Brown Owl's foot. I remember her coming around here afterwards, flouncing onto the couch and saying, Auntie Stell, Brown Owl is a fascist. I said, Catherine, Brown Owl is the vicar. She says to me, so the black uniform is no coincidence then. Even at that age, she was very historically and culturally aware.